tonight we have to talk about credit repair is because it is used. It's a form of racial animus perpetrated against our people. They've devised an actual culture of keeping us impoverished. Many of us have become so complacent with having bad credit or not even knowing how to build a credit profile that because we've learned how to pay our bills month to month or manage to stay alive, we don't even care to fix it. We've become complacent with the fact like, hey, I got bad credit, so you know what? It is what it is. I want you all to get out of that mentality. You hear what I'm saying? I need you all to get out of that mentality. That's what I want. And the reason why I want you all to get out of that mentality is because I'm just down on you talking to two different screens. The reason why I want you to get out of that mentality is because it's holding back our whole race. Everybody else is using electricity to survive, and we are still looking to use paper money or save up every paper dollar to embark upon the acquisition of big ideas. So much so we never get a chance to actually engage these big ideas simply because it's a long route. And how you gonna win a race when we know currency in the form of paper is slower than currency in the form of electricity? We have to fix that credit. And so we have to learn the nuances of the credit system. But don't worry, when we do the course, we won't spend that much time telling you about the history of credit or TransUnion and Equifax and all of. But we do have to learn the history of it so we can understand the nature of the beast that is up against us. So we do have to do that. But understand this. Great credit will change your whole world. The goal is to get everybody in that class to get to the point of next gen. Next gen is the highest credit score you can get. Okay, we talking 900. We done. The goal is to get you to next gen. All right, I always look at it like the next generation will benefit. Yes, the next generation can benefit from your credit. We will be teaching you that the next generation can actually benefit from your credit. That's extremely important to the cause. And I'm going to tell you why it's important to the cause. It's extremely important to the cause primarily because we are in a debt wealth society. So in order to build credit, you have to go into debt. If you want to go to school to stride or transcend the conventional jobs that most people get without the high school diploma, or with the high school diploma, I should say, then what you normally have to do is be willing to go into debt for student loan. If you want to drive to work or drive to school and you buy this car, chances are you're going to get a car note. And that's another form of debt. Of course, the word note, hence the term note. If you want to build credit, you have to do what? You have to go into debt. The quickest way to build credit is to go into debt. So now, this is a game of Russian roulette, because in order for us to survive, we need an education. In order for us to survive, we need shelter. And most times, in order for us to go to work, we need to be able to drive. So if I want to get a car, I got to go into debt. Hence the car note. If I need a school education to strive for excellence, I got to have a student loan debt obligation. There we go again. If I want to get a home, I have to go into a mortgage. Mortuary. Mort means death. Gage means pledge. So I'm pledging to pay something until I die. It's a pledge until you die. I have to go into debt. If I need a house, I have to go into debt. If I need to go to school, I have to go to debt. Go into debt. If I need a car, home, or education, I have to go into debt. And damn it, if I have to build credit, guess what? I have to go into debt. The quickest way to build credit is to go into debt. So let's recap what we just realized here. This is a debt wealth society. This is why you have to learn the nuances of credit. Because if I want an education, I have to go into student loan debt. And we all need an education. And if I want to get a home, that is to say shelter, I have to get into debt by way of the mortgage. Mortuary, mort means death, gage means pledge. I have to make a pledge that I'll pay something almost to the point when I'll die. In fact, I'm most likely going to die before that debt is paid. So I have to go into debt for the home, I have to go into debt for the school, and I have to go into debt for the car. And if I want to build credit, I have to go into debt in order to build credit. What have we learned here? That this is a debt wealth society. And the only way we could diffuse the momentum of a debt wealth society is if we inherit wealth. And our children can inherit wealth in the form of our credit. And that sounds nuts. And that's what we have to discuss during the course of the sovereign course. And by sovereign, by no means do we mean you can hit somebody with a car and don't have to go to court for vehicular homicide. We're not talking about you throwing your birth certificate and your social security in the water. But we are talking about having some form of autonomy, some form of control in your life by way of economics. We're talking about economic sovereignty. That's what this sovereign workshop is about. Re-establishing a strong disposition where you don't have to pay. We did the health course and still doing it. Make sure you still can purchase the health course online. You'll get the replays in high def through passcode means to our I Am Brother Polight website. It's not there when you go to the site by the standard, but it's there when you purchase the class and you get the passcode and you can get it on the back end. All right. The reason why we did the health course, inspired by Dr. Sabi, was because we wanted to see to it that people can spend less money by learning how to create the herbs themselves. That's why we got the health course there for you online. When we did the real estate course, that was to save you the money so you don't have to pay $15,000, $20,000 to go to school to be a real estate agent and still know nothing about UCC. When we taught the real estate course, which is still up there on IamBrotherPolight.com, you can look for it, 4-class package deal. We taught it because when people teach you real estate, they should be teaching you UCC. UCC runs concurrent with real estate. And we proved this throughout the 4 classes, how many times we needed to use the UCC, particularly at least one, UCC 1, which is the financing statement, particularly the 3 being the code for change or amendment. Now, you can spend thousands of dollars, but the name of the game here is to see if we can save you as much as money as possible. So if you do decide to go to school, you go on the better terms when you already have money so you can be educated and hopefully become a resource to the community that you so love or you are a part of. And what I'm saying to you with these courses that I'm putting out, it would be like if you went to college for this information, it would be like going to school for graphic and design when you can download and purchase apps and tutorials for Photoshop, meet friends and people that excelled in it that don't mind teaching you, but you still feel like you got to go to school and get a damn degree to learn graphic and design. Take advantage of this information. Even when we charge, it's free, considering them thousands of dollars. And what you learn from these courses, trust me, everyone that has got a little wind of this information is charging it by the thousands. I know people that I've educated that's going nuts charging people. And it's all right. It's their right to do what they do and make their money. I'm not mad. Do what you do. But what I'm saying is these classes are thorough to save us monies in the future. We're grown men and women, presumably, here online. And those of you that are younger, this is a great opportunity to get right and make better decisions ahead of time. It's very, very important. What are some of the nuances? Let me talk to y'all. Let me get some of this information off my chest so I don't have to go through much of this when we do the actual course. Number 1, you guys need to get a job. A lot of us got to get a job. And you know what you do? You load up. You know what you do when you want to get a job? You guys actually load up and say, well, today I'm going to go to like 40 job interviews, or I'm going to go to 40 stores and I'm going to fill out 40 applications because I am on the grind and I need to get a job. Now, many of you are saying, I'm not even doing enough day to day to affect my credit. Damn it, if I was in debt, I was in debt before. The only thing I can do is go up. Why is it constantly going down, or why is it going nowhere if I haven't done nothing new? Because no one's giving me any new opportunities to destroy my credit. Why is my credit going nowhere? Case in point, let me give you one of the examples. Let me give you one of the nuances to this credit phenomenon. Let me give it to you. Here's one of them. You may not have known that when you fill out a job application, they check your credit. When you fill out a job application, they check your credit. Do you know when people check your credit, it affects your credit? So imagine you with no job and you saying, hey, I just want to get my life right. I want to get my credit back. I want to, you know what? I even paid some people to repair my credit. Did the people that you paid to repair your credit tell you, do not go around filling out job applications at random? Do they go out there and tell you, make sure you ask them not to check your credit, to ask you for it, and you can print it out and give it to them? When you go to get a job application, print out your most recent credit score and submit it. Because if they check it, the fact that someone's checking your credit shows you have an interest in potentially being a liability. That's how it's interpreted. So rule number one, come with your credit report ready. And ask, are you guys intending to check my credit? What means by your criteria can I submit it? Because I already have it here. And let them know the source. Or whatever your criteria is, I'll be more than willing to conform. But what you cannot afford to do is fill out 10 job applications, pay somebody to help repair your credit, and they don't even tell you, hey, slow down with them job applications. Or make sure, if you fill out an application, it's because you already know you got the interview coming. And I know that sounds twisted and backwards, but I'm just working with you. I'm just working with you to tell you the game is a setup. It's all a setup. So that's one thing. Social media. If you are constantly looking at new sneakers about to come out, new shirts about to come out, new cars about to come out, places you want to spend money, it can compromise the integrity of people that, loaning institutions that can help you, or credit approvals that could have been higher. I will prove this during the course. For now, you can look these things up and see if social media browsing can affect your credit. Yes, it can. Take a note of that. This is all from the top of the head right now. It's going to be ugly when I do the course. Because that's when I got notes. That's when I got notes. You have to understand these things. You do not want to get caught out there making simple mistakes. And watch this. This could be the same person that pays somebody to repair their credit, and that person didn't tell them, take it easy on what you do on social media. Don't look like a consumer. An uneducated consumer on social media. Change your demonstration of behavior. And if you must, get a whole different user profile, non-associated with yourself, to do the frivolous things that you tend to do. You're only human, I understand. But what I'm telling you is, your social media browsing can impact you in ways where loaning institutions won't approve you for any money or the amount of money that you actually need. And they won't even tell you why. Now you can look this information up as well. I don't play games, but I will be coming with the facts during the course. Right now, I'm freestyling, I'm building with you. I expect you to go and do some more research, and I want you to understand. This is real. And once I give you the chess pieces and you get the board on the table, how can you lose? I already gave you two things that blows a lot of that chaos out of the water. A lot of chaos out the water. Here's another thing that you need to do to build credit. Get a secured card, whether it's Capital One, whether it's Santander, whether it's Wells Fargo, doesn't matter. Get you a secured credit card. If you can't get a credit card, get you a secured credit card. Go to a bank and say, hey, I need a secured credit card. I want to start building my credit. I want to start all over. Of course, you have to put the amount of money that you want on the card. In most instances, they want about $500 put down at a minimum. So what you're going to do is make sure you always put down 6 or 7 at a minimum. They expect if you put down 500, you're already in hell's water. They understand what's going on. Put up 6 or 7. You're off the radar the second you do that. Now, what you want to do is also go to another banking institution and apply for another credit card, $500-700. Or if you can get credit cards through the regular means, do that as well. So you don't have to pay $500. But this is what you're going to do. The goal is for you to get 2 credit cards. If you only can get one, then you get one at that moment. A secure credit card is just as good for the moment. It's a secure credit card, for those who don't know, is when you put the money on the card and you treat it like credit, though you're the one that funded the credit. And if you can do good working credit that you funded after a year, they'll approve you officially for the dollar amount that you have left on the card. So what I tell people to do is after the first 6 months, make sure you expand the credit, because even though you're funding the money for the credit, you'll get the money back at the end of the term, and the dollar amount that you last was on per the last quarter will be the dollar amount in credit you will have. That will definitely boost your credit if you already have a $5,000 credit score, because you saved up and built that amount on your own credit profile. That'd be good, because in other instances you may not be able to be approved for $5,000 so quick. But you can if you built it up yourself over a period of time of 3 quarters or so, 9 months. Here's another thing. You always want to get 2 credit cards. If you only can get one at the moment, you get one. But you always want to get 2 credit cards. You don't want to get more than 2 credit cards. Stay the hell away from that, especially if you're looking to build your credit. Stay away from that. Hey, would you like a Walmart credit card? Would you like to apply? First of all, they're going to hit up your credit by applying for that Walmart credit card. Hey, we can check and see if you want something from Best Buy. Would you like a Best Buy card? They won't even say credit card anymore. They say Best Buy card and it's a credit card. No, trust me, it won't affect your score. They're making mistakes, and that person's probably uneducated in the matter, so they probably think what they're telling you is true. You're welcome, Julius Jones. He said, appreciating the information. You're welcome. So I want you all to understand that it is extremely important to have 2 credit cards. Why is it important to have 2 credit cards? I'm going to tell you right now. It appears that you are a more intelligent consumer because you have 2 credit cards. Not just because you have 2 credit cards, but because you're going to make sure that you got a balance transfer option on your credit cards. This is in my Pennies Off of Millionaires book. You need to get a hold of that book and Inequity or Iniquity, because these are 2 books that we're going to be using during the course, because it's going to have the UCC codes in there that we have to investigate, and it's also going to have this credit repair data. A lot of credit repair data is in the Pennies Off of Millionaires book. I'm going to go a step beyond and above the Pennies Off of Millionaires, but it's a great start because this fundamental information is there in more depth in Pennies Off of Millionaires. brotherpolight.com is where you go to get it. The reason why you want 2 credit cards, thanks Brent, the reason why you want 2 credit cards is because you want to exercise a balance transfer option. If they notice that you only have 2 credit cards and they notice that you have a balance transfer option on your credit cards, they will say this is an intelligent consumer. Boost their points up. What is a balance transfer option? A balance transfer option, this is dope, is when you as an intelligent and very educated consumer realize that you're not supposed to use more than 15% that of the amount of money accredited to you. And so if you ever go over that amount, it becomes incumbent that you then say, hey, let me transfer the excess money over to the second credit card so I can stay within due bounds of the 15% criteria. In fact, going over your credit periodically on one card, but transferring the excess amount to the other credit card shows that you understand the nuances of credit, and in turn, that kind of decision-making process can actually build your credit. Yes, actually going over the credit criteria can make your credit go up, but not in a way that, hey, I'm going to use $500-600 out of my $1,000 credit, and I'm going to pay it back on time, and then they're going to see what it is, and I'm building my credit. Absolutely wrong. You're going to be a liability. Don't use 50% of the amount of money. When you got a $1,000 limit, you're not supposed to use $1,000. You're not supposed to use $500. If you got a $1,000 credit limit on your credit card, you're only supposed to spend nothing exceeding $150. That is 15% of $1,000. And you may be saying, damn, I get approved of $1,000 and I only can use $150? That's crazy. What if you run into an emergency and you actually have to spend $250? Well, what you're going to do is exercise your balance transfer option, and instead of taking the consequence of going $100 over the criteria you now know you have, which is 15%. So if you got a $1,000 credit limit, you're going to exercise your balance transfer option if you spend $250, and you're going to transfer no lower than $100 into the other credit card. And in doing so, it will enhance your credit score if you do it periodically, because it's going to show you're very serious about the standard. When they see that kind of behavior, it's going to grow exponentially as you go through time. Not using your credit card doesn't help you build your credit. Using your credit card a lot doesn't help you build your credit. The manner in which you use your credit card and what you choose to use your credit card for, and keeping it consistent in habit, is what builds your credit. What do I mean? If you buy an Xbox game today, don't go over your limit, and then you buy a pair of sneakers tomorrow and don't go over your limit, and you buy a pair of jeans another day, pay the other bill back, and don't go over your limit, it's very likely you're going to wind up going over the limit. According to analytics, analytics says a person buying sneakers, video games, and clothes and combinations is likely to be enticed to spend a whole lot more one day when they see the very items they buying one at a time in the multitude. But what if your credit cards is connected, automated wise, to just paying bills that's recurring? Then you win. A bill is a little higher than normal, you exercise your balance transfer option, and this is an investment into your future. For the clothes and sneakers, do that in liquid, or take money from your account, or use your debit card for that. You want to show you exercise great judgment. That's what that's about. So we working. Are we cooking or not? Are we cooking or not? So the brother says, what if I go over 15% and pay it back ASAP? Robert Vasquez. I wouldn't do that. If I go over 15%, if I got two cards, I'm going to exercise the balance transfer option. Let it lay over for a little, for like 2-3 days, and then I'll pay it back. That's what we do. That's what I would do. Because I want to get the credit of knowing that they know that I'm aware of the balance transfer option. Because they're going to say this guy's a chess player. He's taking credit very serious. That's the level that we want to be on. Okay? So yeah, we cooking. Iman L on YouTube said we cooking. That's right. So I'm all over. I'm just reading what you got going on out there. I'm showing love. All right, so what else we got going on with this credit? There's a lot. Right now, I'm giving you strategy to stay the heck away from making errors. Because even if you pay someone to build your credit up, if you don't know these things, it's going to go down. Or it's going to be stagnant. You can actually build this credit very fast. But once it's up there, make sure you don't lose. So what good is it to pay someone to help you build your credit up and you don't even know the nuances of the credit stratagem that's been employed to degrade us, tear us down, diminish and demean us, keep us impoverished? So then you also got the credit card redlining system. I spoke about this on a couple of occasions, but for those of you that's not familiar with credit card redlining, you also have a scenario with credit card redlining where they know it's against the law. They know it is against the law to ask you what's your race when it comes to giving you credit or approving you of loans. They know it's against the law. So you know what they do? They get you by the zip code because they understand races or ethnicities tend to live in clusters. So based on your zip code, you can be given a lower credit based on your zip code. And if you move into a better neighborhood, whereby you was only approved for $2,000 in the hood, you're likely to be approved for $5,000. Just 10 minutes away because of the zip code. Because everyone in that zip code has the ability to grow wealth. What does that mean? What this means is wealth begins at $150,000 a year. Wealth begins at $150,000 a year. This means that you are able to invest at least 50 grand a year unbothered without having to live below your means. That is the standard of wealth. Wealth is precipitated by one having the ability to invest 1/3 of their income in addition to them accruing 150 grand a year. Poverty begins at $32,000 a year for a family of 4 or $15,000 a year per individual. Now, here's where I have a light bulb above my head. And I get to thinking and saying, well, if wealth begins at $150,000 a year, they call them the 5%ers in economics. In economics, a 5%er is one who has the ability to grow wealth. They say only 5% of America actually is in position to grow wealth because they're making at least $150,000 a year. Take a note of that. And in any instance, you're supposed to be able to invest at least 1/3 of the income you have in order to become successful. So if you're making $60,000 a year, you're supposed to be able to invest at least $20,000 out of the $60,000 a year. This is some real talk. You need to share this video with your friends and family. I'm going bonkers here. This is fun for me because it changed my life and my scenario. I mean, even the way that I'm able to come into a living situation, it has changed dramatically. It has changed dramatically. Because what? Because when you have better credit, you don't have to pay to get in or to leave with something up. You can just walk in and everyone treats you with respect. It actually changes your sense of self and pride. And you may say, man, that's money. Money doesn't do that. Listen to me carefully. When you're going around and you can't even get a Walmart card because your name is on fire, because you lost credibility because of your lack of credit. When you're like, man, there's a whole bedroom set here, and I just really want to walk out the store with this bedroom set. It's like, dang, but they want me to spend the whole damn $3,000 on this bedroom set, and I just moved into a place. The place cost me money, and I got to do that. But when you have good credit, they just say, hey, sign this 14-month lease, and you know what? Come in first month free, 2 months free. Well, you know us in the hood, we got to pay 3 months security, 1 month rent. They kill us. They actually ask more of us when we have less money. So we go back to credit card redlining. And what I want to explain to you about credit card redlining is this. With credit card redlining, we have to come to terms with the fact that, hold on, y'all. With credit card redlining, with credit card redlining, what we got to understand is this. They won't tell you you're not approved for credit because of your race, but what they will do without telling you is that we're not approving you, or we're only giving you a certain amount that's smaller on account to the fact that you're in the zip code where people are making less than $150,000 a year. So one of the ways that I've shared with people in the past was to get a UPS box because it's considered residential, and get it in neighborhoods where the average income is $150,000 or more a year. Because when you do that, you heighten the probability that they're going to give you more than they would have gave you in a zip code where people don't average $150,000 a year. So you want to find a mailing address, not a postal mailing address, because that's not considered residential. But you have alternative mailing addresses, sometimes even with FedEx, right? You have alternative mailing addresses that's considered residential. So when you receive your mail there, they look and they go, okay, cool. This person's in the in crowd. There's a likeliness that people that live in this area will pay us back. There's a likeliness that people in this area grow wealth from what we approve them and wind up creating a better situation around them, a more viable situation around them, where in turn they'll need more money that they can also pay back, and we can make a killing off of interest. Let's approve him. Let's approve her. So credit is also predicated upon what credit area code you are in. What zip code you are in. The zip code gives you credibility. Now, as young people, we always pride ourselves in being from certain neighborhoods because it's rough and it's tough. But when you become more adult in stature and more educated economically, guess what? You say, man, it is about where you from. But not the bad places, but the good places. Living somewhere or being accredited for living somewhere for a long period of time will work wonders on your credit. Credit is extremely important. It's extremely important to your insurance. Why is insurance important? Because if you were to get a whole life insurance policy, I'm not talking about no regular insurance policy. If you were to get a whole life insurance policy, guess what would happen? If you got a whole life insurance policy, you're able to borrow against the policy. You walking with me? You're able to borrow against the policy. What does that mean? You don't have to die in order to be the benefactor of the policy. You can spend a cash value amount of the policy in the acquisition of real estate, or to pay a medical bill, or even your schooling. Most of us do not get whole life insurance. Most of us do not invest in whole life insurance policies. We don't even know to do it. Or even as a company or a brand, invest in group life insurance. But most of us, when we construct a business, it's a sole proprietorship. It's very unilateral. It's one person, two people working. And those of you that got people on payroll, why on earth do you not have a group life insurance policy or something to that effect? Why on earth do you not have an insurance policy out on everybody that works for you? So you get paid in the event they die or maybe even get hurt. See, everybody else is doing it. Walmart is purposely hiring people with disabilities. because there's a likeliness that they're going to die quicker than the lifetime expectancy. And they cash in, and they don't even give the families any money. They don't even give the families any money. They just cash in on each elder that they hire and each person who has disease that's likely to have them die prematurely. They're shrewd businessmen and women at the highest level. So shrewd that they already mapped out your lifetime expectancy when they hire you. Like, oh no, we're hiring people that's disabled, deceased, and elderly. And we're taking out insurance policies on all of them. And they eating every year from people that's dying. Now, I'm not telling you to sit here and lay and wait for people to die to get your benefits, but I mean, come on. Listen, you get these policies right, your children inherit $250,000, $500,000 on some of the cheapest insurance plans out. It's such a competitive market that they're giving you more and more by the day. And also, you'll be able to tap into those monies while alive without compromise of what your children shall inherit. People are spending insurance money to purchase the things you're trying to save up money for. People are using credit for the things you are saving up money for. Why on earth are we not waking up to this? Because we're not being educated in these matters, because the leaders themselves aren't educated in these matters. And when the leaders are educated, you can tell based on what they're teaching if it's engineered for the purposes of uplifting the individuals so that successful individuals could come together as a collective and do more than what they were able to do prior to listening to the leader or the speaker. It's not always the leader's fault. They do the best that they can. But we're not really encouraged to study these things because the cliche is, this is the white man's knowledge. So while I'm making sure if something happens to me, all my children are going to receive over $1 million in their insurance policy, something happens to me. And all my wives have policies out for the same children. Then my children are going to be extremely wealthy when I leave. Never mind the real estate they're going to walk into, because remember what we said at the very beginning. This is a debt wealth society. In order to survive in this society, you have to engage debt. That means you need strategy. The only way to diffuse the momentum of a debt wealth society is to do what? The only way to diffuse the momentum of a debt wealth society is to literally inherit wealth. And that has to happen through the sacrifice of the previous generation. That means our generation has to be willing to make certain sacrifice in order that our posterity can reap the benefits of our hard labor. But it doesn't mean sacrifice has to be void of any special concessions, gifts, or pleasure in the life that we live in now. I'm down with getting both done. I know sacrifice is a very rough word. We should all be willing to sacrifice for the next generation, whether we got children or not. But the whole black community, whether you got a child or not, you should have a policy on somebody and they should have a policy on you. I'm in my wife's insurance policy and she's in my insurance policy because I know as a black man, African American male, I know there's a high probability of me being killed, murdered, or just leaving this planet prematurely for a host of reasons. Why would I not ensure that in the event that I leave, she doesn't have to just start scraping up money and saving money? Why wouldn't I make sure that if something happens to me, she gets the bag? Why wouldn't I make sure I secure the bag so in the event something happens to me, she can be right? 6 figures minimum. Why wouldn't I do that? So yeah, pay a little 200 and change every month, secure the bag for my wives and my children. I'm good money. Why not? See, what hinders our race is because every time a Jewish person dies, as a parent, the children inherit millions from both sides just because their parents died. When we die in the community, our children don't even inherit the apartment, the small apartment in the projects. We have to fight and say it was in my mama's name. Or we have to not tell everybody our parent died to see if we can stay in that apartment until someone finds out. We're pulling the jug. It's real. Yeah, I took it easy off of tour, and I just really came back from vacation. I had vacated it for like a week and change. Tomorrow's my wife and I's anniversary. We would have been together for 19 years. March 9th. I believe tomorrow's not March 9th. But this week. Glad she ain't hear this part. But March 9th is our anniversary, and we would have been together for 19 years, almost 2 decades. We knew each other since teenagers. Looking forward to it. Last year I took her to Israel. The year before that I took her to Egypt. This year she just said, man, get the new home. Just get us a new home in the same neighborhood. So I'm a 3-minute walk away. She's like, I just want a new home. That's all. And I'm good. I love this neighborhood. I love our come up. You take me all over the world every year. This year, just get a new home. So I'm in a new home. That's what I'm doing. That's what she wanted. Congratulations. Ulysses said him and his wife is going on 15 years. That's what's up. Peace. John Burt. Peace to the family. Facebook is litty. I see it, man. I thank y'all so much for listening in. Collectively, man, we well over 1,000 between the two medias. That's great. I appreciate it. And thanks for the happy anniversary wishes, Brent. Appreciate that. Thank you for being happy to see Black Love. Jabba Zaya. Selassie. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Nah, I didn't take it to Nigeria yet. I don't hold life insurance, King Jaden. Peace to King Jaden. Thanks a lot, the game people. Just telling everybody thank you. Just telling everybody thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, I want y'all to go to brotherpolight.com, get that course for the credit repair workshop. I know we covered a lot. I think we did it in like an hour or two. We covered a whole lot. I actually have another engagement to go to, and they say, are you crazy? You about to go live? And you know you got places that you gotta go? I'm like, I gotta be able to do something. It's on my mind, so I got this vibe. And I was like, man, I just want to share this vibe because I was building with a young brother earlier, and I was telling him about the Sovereign Credit Repair Workshop online starting this Sunday, and at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It starts on Sunday. It starts on Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this Sunday. If you miss it, you'll be able to watch the review on high def. On the back page of the IamBrotherPolite.com, you'll get the password, and you'll have a special page exclusive for people that are viewing it. Okay, people that purchased the course. So if you missed it, if you missed 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you'll have it, and you'll have access to it for about a week, 2 weeks straight, or probably for the duration of the course. So you don't have to worry about none of that. It's a real good look. All you gotta do is go to IamBrotherPolite.com. You click the hyperlink New Covenant, or you click the hyperlink Services. Whichever one that you click, you'll be able to get the credit repair workshop. It's gonna be very intense. I'll be giving you the PDF, so as you listen to me teach and I go step by step through the PDFs, you yourself will also be able to follow step by step. It's going to be a very powerful experience. You're going to have worksheets, and you're also going to have templates, because you have to mail these people some things off. Let's go back into some credit repair information. I got a few more minutes. It's so much. Here's another thing. say you paid off a debt. Many of us are under the pretense that if you pay off a debt, what we need to do is say, hey, let's call the credit unions, let's call these credit companies, and let's say, hey, I paid for this. Take it off the record. Or I paid for this. I need it clear that I paid for this. Make it clear I got rid of this debt. That is absolutely wrong. Never ask them to give you credit for paying off a debt. You don't want nowhere on your record that you paid and got rid of a debt. You don't want that. What you want is to have that record stricken. You want the fact that you was in debt stricken from the record. And you have that right once you paid completely for a debt. So if you pay a debt off, they will put debt was completed. You do not want that. Again, I'll say it again. If you pay off a debt, they will actually make it clear you paid for the debt. Sometimes they don't even make it clear. You gotta pay attention to your credit report enough to know if they even reporting the right information. Most people don't know where to go and how to search in terms of their credit report. That's a very big problem. Because they don't know where to go or what to do, guess what happens? A lack of response is an admission of guilt sometimes. You do not, someone's asking why, I'm going to tell you again, you do not want them to give you the credit for paying a debt off if you paid the debt off. You want them to have it stricken from the record. Why, you ask? Saga owner, the reason why is because it is better that people never know that you was in debt than for them to know you was in debt at all. That is one of the cultural nuances of the credit paradigm. You are better off having people totally oblivious to you ever owing any money than to have people know that you owed and you paid it off. Because the fact that they know you wound up in debt means that you were encroached in some shape, form, or fashion. The fact that you was in debt, they know someone had to call you. They know someone had to send you a letter. They know that you put yourself in a position where you have to spend more money and not utilize the luxury of credit to your better advantage. You've used credit to your disadvantage, which means you are easy prey. And loaners will say, I don't want to deal with this person. Yeah, they paid off debt. How? They probably won the lottery or waited until income tax to pay this debt off. We don't want to deal with people who are going to make us wait a whole damn year. And if they don't get a good, sizable amount of money, then they won't be able to pay us. So you don't want the credit for paying off a debt. You don't want the credit for that. You would rather them know nothing. See no evil, hear no evil. Here's another thing about credit that they don't tell you. I tell you, don't stop. All of this can be verified. All you got to do is on your free time, look it up. Say, wow, social media can affect my credit score. Credit card balance transfer option. Only have 2 credit cards. Transfer one to the other. This stuff is real. Why don't they teach you this in school since they're preparing you for life and a big part of life is debt? And in order to create a powerful credit score, you have to be into debt. So why don't they teach you about credit in school and you get graded and you got an 85 or you got an 8 in credit cognition? How come that's just not part of the curriculum? See, that's the setup there. And you don't trust your people, but you damn sure trust these people. These people are nuts. Wells Fargo and Bank of America just got caught committing fraud yet again, both of them this year and last year, by the millions. And every day they still get people opening up bank accounts. You trust them though. They're the only institutions I can see on planet Earth White people. They the only ones who can create institutions that do massive dirt against their customers. And still got customers at their door second that door opens. Hold my money for me. Crazy. Very ridiculous. So we're going to go back to what we saw about. We do not want the credit for previous debts that have been paid. That's one. We want to tell them, oh yeah, I know I paid it, but do me a solid, strike it from the record. You have the right to tell them that. And it's their obligation to take heed and say, you know what, let's take this thing off. It is their obligation to take heed and say, okay, strike it from the record, because it is better that no one knows you was in debt than for to know you was in debt and you got it off the record. I hope you're listening. So that's very important to the credit schema of things. And this is just the beginning. So you not only have to learn how to grow your credit, you have to learn to protect yourself. Then we have to get out of this concept that we want everything in our name. Why? You want to get out of the concept that everything needs to be in your name, because that's where you take the biggest blow. You have to protect your name. So you need a legal person or a legal fiction in front of you. Listen to me carefully. This is why you set up a trust. And a trust, a company, a synonym for corporation or company is person. Another name for corporation is person. Another name for company is legal person. And just like you claim children on your taxes to get more money, you can claim that person, the company, just like a child, to get money back at the end of the year. It's called writing off. Tax write-offs, right? So, sporting events, basketball games, right? Movies, vacations, all of this can be done in the name of business and write it off. I'm talking about going as high as 35 to 50% of the monies you spend coming back to you, depending on how you spend and when you choose to spend and what you use to spend it with. And in the name of who? Protect your name. So we also got to talk to you about DUNS numbers, because the business identification number or the tax ID number is just like a social security for the person called company. And that person or company or legal person or company, same words, with that social security, not a social security, but business identification number, BIN or TIN, very similar because it's an entity. Guess what? You know what you got to do with that. If your company is a person and it has numbers just like you have a social security number fixed to it, then your company can have credit. Why you need everything in your name? It makes absolutely no sense. You want to control everything and own nothing. That is the strategy. Control everything, own nothing. That is the strategy. The problem is we had nothing for so long in our life that we're in a space where if somebody will give us a debt for 30 years called a fixed rate mortgage, we're willing to pay it until the day we die. Because by the time most people settle down and actually get concerned about getting a house, they're around 33 years old or higher. And the lifetime expectancy for us to die is around 71, 72 years. And if you give me a fixed rate mortgage for 30 years, that'll have me land on 63, 64, 65, the retirement age. And most people die shortly after the time they retire if they've been working consistently for 20 years or more. So definitely it's a mortgage, because mortgage is a mort, meaning death. Engage is a pledge. It's a pledge to pay something until you die. Why on earth would you sign an agreement to pay something until the day you die? Because you never had nothing in the first place. And because you never had nothing, If someone gives you the opportunity to have something, even if you can't afford it, you know you can't afford it. You know what not affording it means? If it takes you 30 years to pay something and they give you a heads up 30 years in advance, you can't afford this because you're going to have to pay for it during the stretch of 30 years. And you don't even consider hyperinflation. You don't consider food inflation. You don't consider that you're not even at 5%, meaning you're not even in a tax bracket where you're able to say that you are in position to invest at least $50,000 a year, because it is incumbent that we are able to invest at least 1/3 of our income. And wealth begins at $150,000 a year. Poverty begins at $32,000 a year for a family of 4 and $15,000 a year for an individual. And my thing is this. If poverty begins for a family of 4 at $32,000 a year, or for an individual at $15,000 a year, and wealth begins at $150,000, the amount of money that we comfortably can invest, win, lose, or draw, and still not have to live below our means, begins at $150,000 a year, then what is $50,000? What is $60,000? What is $70,000 a year? That's the gray area. If poverty begins at $32,000 a year for a family of 4 and $15,000 a year for an individual, and wealth begins at $150,000 a year, and we are given the incentive through economics that we are supposed to be able to invest 1/3 of our income comfortably without living below our means, what do the other dollar amounts mean to represent in between? I considered all of those dollar amounts poverty. So if it's $60,000, if it's $70,000, whether it's by myself or with 2 or 3 other people, I have to still consider it poverty, because it said poverty begins at $150,000 a year. And they ain't got no terms for those other numbers in between. And that, for me, $15,000 and $150,000, that's 100 times difference. $32,000 and $150,000. It's a big difference in between. And they're telling you wealth really begins at $150,000 a year, and only 5% of America has that kind of wealth, has that kind of income. 5% of the population is actually in position to invest and take risks. And what does that say about credit for the population of only 5% of the population that actually is in position to grow their money? So the disconnect, family, it's not really the money. The disconnect is the knowledge. The disconnect is knowledge, family. The 85 was at 60,000. Must be the 85 was. Word up. This is real. I'm imploring that you share this video. You sit down with your mother, sit down with your aunt, talk to them about being more realistic about changing their world. Talk to them. If you feel that you learned a great deal of information tonight, I'm telling you, you haven't even heard nothing when it comes to the credit repair course. And again, we also have to discuss foreclosures. We also have to discuss adverse possession. And I'm not talking about the weird and the wacky way. I'm not talking about people squatting into homes that's not theirs. I'm telling you the legitimized rendition of the same, because our people are interested in it. And you know what? Why not, when the prices of the housing market is overwhelmingly unfair and unrealistic, none of these houses cost what they're selling them for. So why not learn about adverse possession? The acquisition of properties that's stagnant in the economy. But you got to learn how to upkeep those properties and what exactly to upkeep, so you don't have to be a damn $150,000 there in order to legally acquire a property through adverse possession. Who do you send notices to, and what exactly do you upkeep? This is what you got to start learning. Or you can get stuck with them 30-year mortgages, knock yourself out. If you want them 30-year mortgages, Knock yourself out. That's up to you. But what I'm saying is, take the course, weigh your options. It's better than you paying for school, and you can't get a refund after they tell you, oh, when you come to this school, the elite come here, and this is the job you'll be able to get. And when you don't get that job after investing your time, energy, and money, you can't even get a refund. When the last time you asked for a refund for what they charge you to go to school? Never. Never. And when's the last time someone educated in those halls the way I educate? Because they don't give a damn. They robots. They've lost their soul after all those years of getting certificates. It's real. It's very real. I'm already about to be late for my engagement. I'm just checking you guys out. Okay? So you're going to go to IamBrotherPolight.com. I am Brother Polight. Polight is an acronym. Polight. Pride, optimism, love, integrity, gallant, honesty, and trust. You're going to go to IamBrotherPolight.com. And you're going to sign up for that class, or the health course, or the real estate course that we did. Either way, it's time for you to put yourself through a system of schooling. It's time for you to decide, you know what? Rather than give them all my bread, let me see what I can do myself. Because even when you pay these companies that will legitimately kind of help you get your credit up, for what it's worth, they don't even tell you how to maintain it. They got you just thinking, hey, just pay your bills on time. Or work out these negotiations with people when you owe them. Did you know that debt has expirations on it? Get the pennies off a millionaire's book. IamBrotherPolight.com. Get the pennies off a millionaire's book. IamBrotherPolight.com. Get the pennies off a millionaire's book.